This is Amy Ashworth, and I am presenting my vision for the Lynbrook High School Learning Commons. This work forms part of the San Jose State University iSchool curriculum for Info 233 under Professor Shelley Buchanan during summer 2017. Before we get into the vision for Lynbrook's Learning Commons, it's important to understand a little bit about the school. Lynbrook High is a public school located in the heart of Silicon Valley. LHS is one of 5 schools in the Fremont Union School District. In the 2016-17 school year, there were approximately 1,750 students enrolled. There are over 80 educators working for the school. Of the student group, the majority live in the enrollment area. Most of the families work in high-tech industries and have college and graduate or post-college certificates and degrees. The majority of LHS students are part of the Asian demographic, which includes U.S.-born students with Chinese, Korean, Japanese, Vietnamese, Indian, Pakistani, etc. parentage, and immigrant students. Most students form part of the regular course of study, which adheres to CCS and NGSS standards, as well as University of California A to G requirements. At a graduation rate of 98%, the majority of graduates attend 4-year college university. LHS also provides for students with special needs, who form 9% of the student population. All students should graduate prepared for whatever the future holds, whether college or vocational training. This leads us to the FUHSD mission, which focuses on excellence and equity. Quote, "Equity requires a commitment to hold high expectations for all students and to vary the allocation of resources, time, money, expertise, to ensure the success of every student." End quote. Unlike many California school districts, each FUHSD school boasts its own full-time teacher librarian and full-time library media specialist, or LMS. Together, they work in commons, run smoothly. The LHS mission upholds the FUHSD mission. Additionally, LHS seeks to create a strong community. Quote, "Commitment to family, involvement in the schools, a belief in the importance of education, and high academic expectations." End quote. Now, as part of who we are, it's a good time to look at what the Learning Commons ideally offers its students to support the district and school missions. The traditional library offers excellent resources and study space. A Learning Commons offers so much more. In the shift toward getting students prepared for 21st century jobs and careers, educators realize the importance of providing flexibility in a Learning Commons environment. A Learning Commons is like a community center on campus. It has resources, yes, but it houses flexible spaces for work and play and encourages creative endeavors through maker programs, literacy through library programs, and places to collaborate. Its patrons include the students and staff. The staff use the Commons as a place to showcase excellence in education and as a space for professional development. And the community uses the Commons for PTSA, booster club meetings, and all of this, the Learning Commons relies heavily on the flexibility of the LC staff and administration. This takes us to the mission of the LHS Learning Commons. The LHS Learning Commons strives to give all patrons access to current, high-quality, comprehensive resources in a warm, friendly environment that encourages growth through inquiry and participation. In order to make this all work, stakeholders need to recognize all the moving parts that make up a Learning Commons. Only when all of the listed items are budgeted and accounted for will the LC be able to make the best impact on student learning. Each of these items are justified clearly by AASL and CCSS school standards. For specifics, please visit the bit link that I have listed here. This will take you to a detailed description of the items and their tie-in to school standards, as well as the rest of the vision. First of all, a library commons needs a full staff. Not only does this full staff see to student needs day to day as they use the facilities and participate in programs, a teacher librarian is vital to teachers in her role as a professional developer and a curriculum development partner. Secondly, the Learning Commons needs access to materials. The largest portion of the budget rightly goes to giving students access to learning materials in various formats. Not only does this encompass books, ebooks, audiobooks, and DVDs, it also covers a vast array of database subscriptions that all students have access to from school and home 24/7. Materials also include physical supplies. These range from office and book processing supplies to supplies needed to fill up a maker cart, to supplies students have access to that help them in the creation and presentation of work. Thirdly, the budget must include professional development for the LC staff. Teacher librarians and specialists who have access to professional learning through conferences and webinars form a staff that is prepared to handle the latest educational needs. Fourth, a Learning Commons meets educational and community building needs for its patrons through a multitude of programs, from student book talks to mobile makerspaces to movie nights to parent education sessions. Finally, a well-run Learning Commons needs to budget for technology. If LHS wants to meet all students' needs, it must offer the technology to assist in this endeavor. This may translate to laptop, camera, e-reader, lapel mic, array mic, and other technology loans. Altogether, these make up the pieces that work under the stewardship of the LC staff and community partners. So let's say that our budget wish list is checked off. The state, district, the school, community partners, and library staff have gathered funding for everything. How do we measure our success? It's done in a couple of ways. The first is through the teacher librarian, who embodies many roles and service to the school community. Hopefully, you recognize that the teacher librarian is an advocate for the Learning Commons. The teacher librarian is also an instructor, a collection developer, a literacy advocate, a professional developer, an instructional designer, and a program coordinator. In all of these roles, the teacher librarian is charged with keeping track of data. The data collected needs to show the answers to the question, how does the teacher librarian provide value to the community? Digging deeper, we can ask questions specific to each role. For example, a question for the instructor is, how has teacher librarian led and instruction contributed to student learning regarding responsible use, production, and sharing of a wide variety of information and ideas? A question for the program manager is, in what ways and how optimally do budget and facilities support the overall library program's ability to establish and sustain an inclusive and collaborative learning community that empowers students both academically and personally? Answers to these important questions are found in evidence. The teacher librarian uses data she collects from lesson plans, from surveys and feedback forms, from focus groups, collection analysis, wherever she can get it. She collects it regularly, daily, weekly, over the course of a semester, once or twice yearly, depending on the data type, and the data is analyzed, programs are improved, teaching is improved, all for student learning, for equitable resources, for community building. To see more details about how the teacher librarian's roles translate to effective teaching and student learning, please go to this LHS Learning Commons Vision bit link. The other place that the Learning Commons effectiveness is measured is through the involvement of the community. There are three major players involved in keeping the Learning Commons ahead of the game. The teacher librarian and Learning Commons staff work along the administrative staff, which can include members of the district team, as well as other teacher librarians in the district. If you think about progression of ideas, this is often where things begin to percolate. This group has a vision, so they coordinate a means to make that vision happen. And the way they do that is through the LAC. The Library Advisory Committee, or LAC, is an integral part of the Learning Commons for two reasons. The first is that it's a group that draws from all parts of the community, which enhances connectedness and cooperation. Secondly, the LAC as a group takes the vision one step further and makes things happen. They solicit feedback from patrons in order to make the LC's vision tangible. As a community group, they are dedicated to meet regularly, to add their support to volunteer and action plan committees, and they are committed to excellence and equity. Patrons make up the third part of the community involvement. The LC won't be effective if patrons aren't solicited regularly and if they don't get involved in programs. A well-functioning LC runs off of participatory culture. So how does the LAC work? This flowchart describes the process. First, the teacher librarian works on developing a vision. The teacher librarian has gathered data from her professional learning about best practices and trends and has solicited feedback from the patrons and from the community about needs. The school and district admin approved the vision. Now it's time to get members from the community to commit to being members of the LAC. At the end stages, the LAC familiarizes itself with the vision. At this stage, the vision may even be revised by the LAC if it finds changes need to be made. Then it moves forward by creating action plans and subcommittees to work on them. The action plans are initiated. Patrons see effects and participate in programs and give their feedback. The LAC determines the success of their work based on this feedback and through reflection and analysis of that feedback. At the end of the year, the progress is reported to the district. The LAC may lose members over the summer, but the remainder of the group, the teacher librarian and admin, work to find new members. The process continues. The important thing to remember is that the LAC is building community by encouraging participation. This fits directly with LHS's community-focused mission. That the running of a successful library program needs support, whether that comes from supporting the vision, becoming a member of the LAC, or by recognizing and sharing the great work of the Learning Commons. We do work well when we work together. I hope you'll visit the bit link provided to learn more. Thank you.